Hello everyone. Today's lesson is going to be on hustling. It's been almost a year now, right? We're getting towards the end of 2023 and we're still hearing about the great Meghan Markle comeback. But like a lot of you, I've been scratching my head and thinking, what comeback though? Have I missed something? From here all the way beyond Pluto? And then it hit me. Of course. Comeback. A return to her hustling roots. Isn't that what we've all been saying over the past year? How she's gone full circle from the hustling wannabe Hollywood influencer to a royal duchess, an actual princess of the United Kingdom, only to find herself all the way back in square one. Except this time, she's got the fame, or should I say the notoriety, that she so desperately craved all those years ago. I mean, take a look at this. Rather than being called an unnamed guest in this photo from circa 2014-2015, she is now being referred to as Hollywood royalty by the Times newspaper. I kid you not. And hey, fair play to her if this was her weird roundabout way of attaining fame and fortune. I guess she succeeded. I mean, it doesn't make sense why anyone would want to do that and leave the most elite echelon of human society, being royalty, for the cesspool of Hollywood, but hey, I tip my proverbial hat off to you, ma'am. But the point is, the media had it right all along, people. The clues were all there, out in the open for us to see. Because, you know, it wasn't obvious enough. From the endless pap strolls and the merching, to starting up an Instagram and rubbing shoulders with celebrities, Meghan Markle is indeed making a comeback. But not to a non-existent Hollywood career. She's coming back to being a hustler. Some people, and I've been guilty of this myself in the past, seem to use the word hustler to describe a person who is hardworking, someone with a strong work ethic, as it were.
Meghan was a hustler. She was calling, getting herself on red carpets, getting, meetings with people like Piers Morgan. She got a lot of her work on her own because she had an incredible work ethic.
And you often hear North Americans particularly use words like the hustle and the grind to talk about the daily struggles of life. But the fact of the matter is, hustling and having a strong work ethic are in no way the same thing. Don't believe me? Just look up the official definition of a hustler. One who obtains money by fraud or deceit, scammer, swindler. For instance, someone who uses and discards people for an actual living, or dare I say, a hobby. Sound familiar? And in my opinion, climbing the social ladder is the epitome of hustling. Whereas, for example, in the case of Meghan Markle, if you're going to say she's got a strong work ethic, to me that would be she worked really hard to secure roles, in the sense that she took acting lessons to improve her abysmal acting abilities. Or she juggled 2 to 3 side jobs just to make ends meet while she auditioned. And no, living off your daddy and then your husband doesn't qualify, I'm afraid. And I think therein lies the indignance of a mostly British audience whenever the word hustler and work ethic are used interchangeably to describe Meghan Markle. And I, for one, completely understand that indignation because, honestly, a lot of us are actually hard workers with a very strong work ethic. And I'm sure it's understandable that we don't want to be lumped in with people who use and abuse people for sport, rather than actually working hard to get to where you want in life. But aside from the gross misuse of the word, I think what everyone is particularly annoyed about at this point is, firstly, the endless coverage of this comeback, as I said at the beginning, courtesy of WME, of course, and as if anyone actually cares. But secondly, and I think more importantly, the relentless perpetuating of a lie. Because Meghan never had a glamorous Hollywood career to come back to. And we saw WME do this exact thing with the Dior alleged contract. They put out the rumor out there to spread like wildfire, to keep Meghan in the headlines and to keep us talking, until of course, inevitably, the other party involved, being Dior in this instance, comes out and embarrassingly refutes the validity of these rumors. And as someone who has looked into Meghan Markle's past antics, this tactic has Meghan's fingerprints all over it. If you read Tom Bower's book Revenge, then you'd know that every opportunity that came Meghan's way, every red carpet appearance, every interview, every talk show that she was invited on was secured by her hustling. Now, of course, she would have you believe that all of these people and entities are reaching out to her.
You know, when Dove reached out to me, it was so, as I was saying to you, it's just so easy for me to jump on board with this. When UN Women reached out to me last year from an article that I had written on the TIG, actually. It's a website, yes. And it was also actually just the TIG.com. And it's actually where UN Women reached out to me because I had written a think piece.
But bear in mind, this was all when Meghan Markle was an unknown entity. And I'm not saying it to demean her. I am an unknown entity on a global platform, but I'm not walking around pretending that Dior is asking me to model for them. And despite all of this, she still expects us to believe that all of these people and organizations were clamoring just to get a piece of her. But here's the catch. Because she was a nobody, no one really bothered fact-checking what she was saying. The entities that she was talking about, for example, UN Women, probably never even knew that she was lying about how their relationship started. And even if they did, what were they gonna do? Stoop down to her level and release an official public statement refuting her claims? Of course not. And she knew it. She was banking on that very fact. And she was right. It worked for a while until it didn't. You keep hearing from certain people that Meghan is highly intelligent. She's a highly intelligent operator. But for such a highly intelligent woman, she didn't bother revising this lying tactic of hers once she did attain global fame, especially at the start of her relationship with Harry. And the media did take a keen enough interest in her to go snooping around, looking into her background and verifying her claims. Obviously, I'm not claiming the media is this arbiter of truth and wanted to fact check for the heck of it. We all know they did it to dig around for anything that was newsworthy. And on a digging expedition, they went, rapidly sending Meghan Markle's house of cards tumbling down
before they can say Quidditch.
And you think again, for such an intelligent woman, since it's been 7 years of this happening by now, she would have revised her tactic at some point down the line. But the Dior episode, for instance, shows us that she is incapable of learning any lessons because she still persists time and time again with the same tactic, always expecting a different result, which is pretty much at least the informal definition of insanity, isn't it? It's gotten to the point where all of us have started to very accurately predict her next move, right down to the day. That's how predictable this woman is. The problem with the Meghan Markles of the world is that they think they're perfect. They look down on the rest of us, taking us all for fools who blindly lap up whatever drivel is fed our way. And based on the admittedly small group of supporters she still has left, that tactic seems to work on some people. Although I suspect, like their leader, they're probably lacking a little bit in the intelligence department. When you take people for granted, when you think that you're the smartest person in the room, it's actually far more likely that you're the opposite. Because only a fool professes to know everything. Wise people, truly intelligent individuals who aren't consumed by their ego, know better. And I'm not necessarily saying that Meghan Markle is inherently foolish. I don't think that a truly foolish person could have pulled off the ruse that she did when she pretty much infiltrated the British royal family. But I've said this 100 times, her hubris is definitely clouding her judgment and dictating her every move. And I think there are countless stories out there, many of which we have covered on this channel, that serve as a warning to us all of the perils of hubris. So in summary, yes, she is indeed making a comeback, because all of this incessant coverage orchestrated by her and her PR team of her shaking her little tush at the Beyonce concert to prove that she was there, posing with A-listers on a second trip to a Beyonce concert, the constant mentions of the Tig revival, having her mother pose with reality stars like the Kardashians, who Meghan actually deemed beneath her when she was still within the royal fold. So talk about how the mighty have fallen. Add that to the already humongous pile of incessant pap strolls, the blatant merching, you get the gist. It's strikingly and disturbingly reminiscent of all the things that she used to do before she met Harry to feel relevant and important. So blinded by her hubris and so vast the void within her must be, for her to ruin such a golden opportunity, not only for herself, but also for her children, by abandoning royalty in exchange for a life as a D-list grifter, or I should say, hustler. But, you know what they say, once a hustler, always a hustler. A leopard can't change its spots.